two different ways you can play a Jeopardy review game with your class. In the first way, I'm going to show you kind of the cons of it. It can be done, but I think there's a better way to do it, and that's what I'll show you in the second half of my video. But first off, let's look at a teacher trying to play a Jeopardy review game with their class using nothing but a regular dry erase board. So first, if a student were to pick a category and ask a question, let's say they picked the category 1, which would be over the Enlightenment, for 30 points. I'd erase 30 points off the board, but the question doesn't pop up. So the teacher would have to repeat the question. More than likely, you're going to have to do this multiple times because your students, it doesn't really connect with them right away. And it would be really nice if the question actually was up here so they could all see it. You didn't have to repeat yourself. But unfortunately, with this technique, you can't do that. And this is a good example of how this type of format for Jeopardy is a lot more work for the teacher, but, as well as the students as well. Also, it can be kind of hard to see for certain students up here. And depending on how many dry erase boards you have in your room, if this is the only one, then you're going to be kind of crammed in the corner. It's not very interactive, and students aren't going to be nearly as engaged as they could be. Also, when you start to keep score, it can get a little sloppy up here when you're always erasing scores, and can get a little confusing. And students, once again, all this confusion leads to classroom management problems. And when you're playing a review game, when students are going to be excited and ready to go, they're going to be acting up more than likely anyway. So you want to try to keep classroom management issues to a minimum. And if this type of style might actually encourage different classroom management issues. Okay, so this is what I consider a lot easier and more engaging way to play this Jeopardy review game. And we are using the smart board right here. And one of the things you can see right away is I have the directions clearly for students to read up on the board. And the first way we couldn't do that because our board was crammed with all the different point categories. And this way it's just so much easier because I can actually put the directions up here. I can read them to the students, but they can also read them themselves because it's easily viewable for them, and it leads to minimal confusion when you try to play this game. Alright, so we're ready to play the Jeopardy game using the smart board, and one of the cool features that you can have is you can integrate sound into the game.
First round, the Jeopardy round.
So that's a feature that can get students more engaged and get them ready to play the game. Alright, so as you can see, the categories are clearly labeled, and if someone, let's say they chose Enlightenment Basic Points for 30 points, I can just simply click on that. It brings up the question nice and neatly for students to read. I don't have to keep repeating it, which keeps the game simple and not near as confusing for students, which helps you with classroom management. So they can clearly read the question. When a group brings in the answer, you can just click on the board again, and the answer clearly comes up. Then you can go back to the main board. And you can just keep doing this. It's nice and simple, and it keeps a good flow to the game. Also, at the end of the game, Final Jeopardy. When we had the previous way on the board, we would have to erase the board and then write up the question, and it would just been a little more confusing. This way, I can just click on Final Jeopardy. It comes up. Then I can proceed to my question, click here for Final Jeopardy. And it's just an easier way, this is a much easier way to play a Jeopardy review game with your class.